My name is Marianna Stuhr, and I am visual artist. I was born and raised in Poland. I also studied on art academy in two places, in Krakow, and completed with my education with a PhD in Warsaw Art Academy. My background. I come from a family of artists. Both of my parents as well as my brother are artists, although I'm the only one who works with visual arts, and they are actors, directors. My mom is a musician. I come from a family of artists. Both of my parents as well as my brother are artists, although I'm the only one who works with visual arts, and they are actors, directors. My mom is a musician. Because since earliest age, I've been surrounded by different artists who were visiting our house, being friends of my parents, and many of them were visual artists. And we had some works of theirs in our house, and I've been often wondering or looking at it and getting inspired to do something like that, or simply trying to figure out how this art was made. And this is one of my earliest memories, thinking about art, trying to figure out especially the prints. We used to have a few hand-printed art pieces in our house, and I was very curious, how does the process of creating such a piece looks like. Everything I do as an artist is sort of translation, trying to translate my way of perceiving a world or feeling it onto canvas or paper or whatever the medium is. And I also think that's one of the rules that artists have, being sort of translators and connectors between what we feel, what we see, how we perceive our reality that surrounds us, and the audience. I've been working with acrylic painting on canvas since a couple of years, but I got my major education in the field of printmaking. So all the techniques that use printing press and different types of metrics that you use in order to print something on paper while using it. I've been studying that field for many, many years, and actually I still do love collect different types of paper, old papers, everything that is painted, drawn on paper really always drags my attention. But at a certain point, it became not enough for me, so I decided to start painting, although I had to paint while studying. I had the subject as one of my majors, but I never felt... Well, I felt that it wasn't my medium. I was a little bit intimidated by canvas, by using brushes and different colors, strong colors, and I think I just needed some time to start working with that medium and start painting. And now I can't imagine my life without it. This is the major thing I've been doing for many years now. Even though my parents were not into visual arts, wherever we went, abroad or to a different city, it was very important for them that we would always visit museums, see the most important pieces of art in this world. And it was a long time ago when my idea of what I would do in the future wasn't quite yet there. So yes, there was always the art was always on the radar, but as a part of being brought by in a highly humanistic family, if you know what I mean. There was always a lot of literature in our house. There was a big interest in movie, in theater. Also, for me, it was always very interesting how the art shows or the theater shows were being made, and I was lucky as a child to see it from behind, from the production side, because I was being taken to the theater as well as Philharmonic, even more to Philharmonic, where my mother used to play as a violinist. I simply would spend a lot of time in these places, and that must have influenced me for sure. Hard to say something about socioeconomic status because I spent my childhood in Poland, which back then was a communist country. So we did not, we suffered, not suffered, but we didn't have, as children in 80s, we did not have the same opportunities, economical opportunities as other children from other Western European countries would have. But looking at this time from a time perspective shows me that there was an incredible push to educate us. And it wasn't just my family. I think in general, I think people knew that the only way to get out of it is to get out of the system, get out of the socio-political situation that back then Poland was through education. And so I have to say that I see that it was very important for the teachers, for the family as well, of course, to educate. I've been studying and following all the information about one particular artist that really, whose art really impresses me a lot, although it's very much different from what I do. And this is Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia O'Keeffe is a painter whose art I also admire, but I admire her life choices the most. And it's sort of a role model for me, for many, I suppose, women artists nowadays. And because I also for me, the desert landscape has been one of the major sources of inspiration for long time. That's how actually I came across her art. And and started reading about her, got to know her biography. And one of my biggest wishes, actually, is to go and see her house, which is being turned into a beautiful museum. And I hope one day I can go there and just experience a little bit of her energy, got to know more about her life. Right now I'm preparing myself for 2 exhibitions coming in a couple of months from now. And in my art, I've been focusing on the topic of void and space in the picture, of what is visible and what is almost invisible, what is real and what is abstract, and in the space that surrounds us. I mentioned the desert, and I've been studying the desert landscape, and for many years. And after that, I decided to look up and found a huge new source of inspiration, which is the universe and all the astrophysical phenomena that happen somewhere there above us. And I found it very abstract and beautiful, and simply wanted to understand it a little bit more. Started reading some astrophysical literature, which is, of course, for me as an artist, very, very hard to understand with my highly humanistic brain. But I'm not giving up, and actually I do find an inspiration in astrophysics and try to interpret it in a visual way, because this is the way I have learned to interpret the world. So it is very challenging, but I sort of came across this topic. It stayed with me. It's been with me for quite a long time, and as an abstract artist, trying to talk about astrophysical phenomena, I've realized that it's just the pretext for me to, in fact, tell my own story, my own intimate story of how I feel and perceive the world. And the way I work, my creative process, it's trying to show to the audience my way of understanding and feeling the world around me. There are few, and while gaining a lot of experience and doing it for many years right now, I've noticed that it is very rewarding when your art is being noticed, that when people buy your art, your prices go up. But navigating through the challenges that art market brings, it's very difficult for me. Trying to position myself, trying to do what I'm supposed to do, which is delivering good quality of art, and still showing myself out there, promoting myself, trying to look for people who I could collaborate with. I find it very challenging because there isn't enough time to do all of that. And the more you paint, the better your art is, the more time consuming it is, and the more you just want to do that and not anything else. Younger self. I guess I would tell myself to have a more faith in what I do, to be more bold, to be more brave, and don't take too deep into your heart the criticism that is not constructive. Of course, when it is constructive, I would say learn that lesson and remember what the wise people tell you, and follow your heart, follow your dreams, of course. I've been doing that actually, but sometimes I struggle when I have a worse day. I do struggle with thinking that I can cope, being more recognized, and do I really want to grow? But at the end of the day, the answer is yes, I want to grow. I want to do more of that, and I want to achieve more in that field. And when the recognition comes with it, that's the way it is, and I appreciate it a lot. Like working with other artists that work in different mediums or techniques. I do quite regularly collaborate with either fashion designers or ceramic artists or interior designers. I simply do like to see my works or pieces of my works living another type of life, like having a chance to be worn or used and being appreciated by other type of audience. It's very beautiful and rewarding to see that. I do like it, and I always try at least once a year to collaborate with another artist and to learn something from each other is also a very important process that I appreciate a lot. I do listen to music. I really like to listen to podcasts. And sometimes there are days where I can't be bothered by any noise and I work in a complete silence. But generally speaking, I like to listen. It helps me focus. It helps me to tune into my work on a daily basis. Well, there have been many beautiful words of appreciation, and of course you feel very glad and happy when somebody acknowledges that your work is great. But when somebody feels my art, when sometimes using very unprofessional words, people come across my art and very often they are not professionals, or they don't deal with art on a daily basis, but they are struck. Like when my art strikes somebody, and I've heard it many times, like they can't stop thinking about some motifs from my work, or they keep coming back to look at some of my works on social media, for example, and they feel it, not see, but more feel. This is something I really appreciate. I've had many people who complimented on my works in such an unprofessional way, but just saying, your art brings something to me that makes me feel like I understand it, or makes me feel acquainted with it. This is something I really like. I hope people can appreciate how much time and effort is being put into the process of creating it. I've been painting abstract art for quite a long time right now, and sometimes I think people don't appreciate that even if you do something very simple, that looks very simple, actually there's a huge process behind that picture that brought me to the final stage of it by creating this simple dot or spot or stroke of the brush. But for an artist to decide when it's ready, it takes a lot. When the painting is ready, it takes a lot of experience to learn how to make that decisions and when to make a decision. Actually, the decision making is the biggest part of a process of creating abstract painting, and I would like people to understand it, and well, people do, but not everybody. Well, there are 2 exhibitions coming up for me, and but unfortunately I can't give you the exact date when it's going to happen. The first one, I've been invited to the curated exhibition. I think at the end of September this year, and it will be an exhibition of 3 artists, including me. It's going to be happening in Warsaw, and also the next exhibition that I'm preparing myself for, it will be my solo exhibition, also in Warsaw, sometime spring next year. My name is Marianna Stuhr, and I am visual artist.